Cool. I think we are good to go. So really happy to be here, guys, today. Thanks again for joining. In terms of introduction, I would start by saying that we all agree that we are in a pretty unique moment, I believe, in e-commerce. First one is that the customer acquisition costs are really through the roof on Meta, on Google, and it's not really slowing down. It has increased over 70% over the last 5 years. And on top of that, the LLMs are reshaping everything, ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. And they're really, completely disrupting the traditional buying journeys. And brands are losing control over how customers can discover them. So basically, the question is pretty simple at this stage. What can you still control? So with Theo and Liam, we believe that there is two main stuff you can still control. The first one being your customer experience. So everything that happens once someone actually lands onto your website. And the second one is the customer database that you own, the direct relationship that you have with your customer. So it's exactly why we wanted to start this webinar today. And maybe, guys, I can introduce myself briefly, and I'll let you introduce yourself as well. So I'm Joseph, one of the co-founder and the CEO of Loyally. And maybe Liam, if you want to go next.
I'm Liam Nosto, and I'm one of the business managers here, guiding people to strategies and things that they can do to personalize the contact experience.
And Theo, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll jump in. My name is Theo from Gorgeous. Let me know if you can hear an echo, by the way, because on my side it's coming through. But basically, I do partnerships on our side, so working with the likes of Nosto and Loyally on our integrations and also our go-to-market.
Dame. Okay. Let's see how we can try and fix that, but I'm just gonna go ahead with the slides at this moment. Maybe Florian, who is in the backstage, can help us with that. So I'll start just to introduce Loyally very briefly. So Loyally is a post-purchase engagement platform that basically helps you grow more revenue from your existing customers by incentivizing them to engage with your brands beyond transactional loyalty. So what you can do with Loyally is actually reward 40+ engagement mechanisms, such as entering some data, some opt-ins, posting on social, posting some reviews that are like based on Trustpilot, on Google, and many different other things. And we use all of those data, it could be online or offline, to actually hyper-personalize the different journeys. We launched the business about 3 years ago, and we work today with 600 mid-market brands, such as Piglet in Bed, Filofax, Volcom, Venom, etc. And maybe next, Liam, if you want to introduce Nosto.
Yeah, I mean, Nosto covers so much across the whole on-site experience, but effectively what we do is make sure that every impression on the website is as relevant as possible on a one-to-one level and a segment level. So a lot of it starts with ingesting all of the data from your current e-commerce platform, or also sort of what the customers are actually doing on site and how they're getting onto the site, and then delivering personalized campaigns. So things like product recommendations, the way you merchandise search results, things like that, and even how you're driving your next best actions. So through content pieces or pop-ups and things like that. And we work with brands of all different sizes. I mean, there's some bragging names on there of, the likes of Princess Polly, Fashion Nova. But yeah, ultimately, it's just about delivering a relevant experience to your customers through different channels and making sure that it's as engaging as possible for them.
Thanks, Liam. And Theo, if you want to introduce Gorgeous.
I think we still have an echo coming through. So Florian, if you're backstage, maybe play with that. In the meantime, Gorgeous is a help desk at its core. So responding to messages across all platforms, email, SMS, web chats, social media, whether that be DMs or in the comments. And then we have built an AI layer on top of that to automate as many of those tickets as possible. So you can see some of the brands we work with, and the key point I wanted to push home when we're talking about automation and AI, we work with 40% of the biggest 1.5K Shopify brands. So looking forward to being here.
Thank you guys for the introduction. So we will try to basically break down the full journey through 5 different points. So what happens on site when someone actually lands on your website, what's happening when the person is actually purchasing, and what comes right after, the place and the role of agentic commerce, and then we will discuss what happens after the first purchase to build engagement and long-term loyalty, and we'll finish the presentation by the CX metrics that actually predict retention.
So I think for us, the key word, and every conversation that we have, this word comes up from brands to us, is about relevancy and kind of how you deliver that experience in real time. And the best sort of way to describe why it's so important is attention spans have just got a lot shorter. I think with the rise of TikTok and all the other fun things at the moment, people have less time to shop and also get more frustrated very quickly because we're used to Netflix telling us exactly what we want straight away, and just in our day-to-day lives. And so, in this case, if you're a sports shop, for example, you probably cater to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My daughters will love the fact that I've just said 6, 7 first. Different kind of sports. And so the best way you can start delivering those experiences to match those people's interests is by taking into account what they're actually doing in real time, but also what they've previously purchased, how many times they've come back, are they loyal customers? That ultimately will influence how you want the site to interact with that customer. Do they get VIP access to early collections, things like that? So for example, if we have Maria in one case, who's a big yoga fan, has actually purchased quite a few times, the focus really would be on streamlining the buying process as much as possible, less about social proofing, and particularly focus on yoga. Whereas Jack is focused on hiking, but will need a bit more encouraging because it's his first visit, needs to understand a little bit more as to why to buy from the brand. Those are 2 very different customers. And if the site has a static experience, the likelihood is either one of them or both could just fall off. They could then start looking at competitors. They could start focusing on kind of like the things like just price and just shopping based on price and not necessarily about quality. All of those things need to be taken into consideration. And so what we help brands do is start delivering an experience that matches both their life cycle, their behaviors on site, and starts updating that all in real time. On the next slide, it's on this of kind of the percentages, but if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. The 69% of shoppers are going straight to the search bar when they're landing on the website. It's such an important part of the web experience. And also there's an expectation for it to adapt. A lot of people, if it's poor performance or it's not showing relevant products, 80% of shoppers are admitting that they have actually exited stores as a result of a poor search experience. And it's the highest intent part of the website. So personalizing it and making sure it's as relevant as possible and as functionable as possible are all key factors as to keeping a person on site, but also leading to a purchase. The reason we've sort of explained the reason why search is the highest intent channel, but a lot of people actually treat it like a nice to have sort of element on the site. It goes a bit neglected. I've had far too many conversations this year of auditing people's sites and kind of going through why certain colors don't show up and certain product types don't necessarily show up. And on this, the way that Nostro starts to interact with that search bar is we start predicting what people are looking for. Do I have a brand affinity to Adidas versus Nike, for example? And you start being able to also complete the search to match those customer expectations that are there of they want personalized experiences, they expect that VIP sort of treatment. And so we're using AI to come up with things like pop culture references. Again, I mentioned already, I've said 6, 7. I'm sure there's fashion clients out there that have started delivering 6, 7 kind of tops and things like that. And in the beginning, it may not necessarily have made sense in the search bar. And a key piece in that, what Nosto is always driving, is how do you optimize those no results? Does it give you insights into the products that you should have? Does it give you insights into how customers are shopping? How do you differentiate the merchandising in your search results for different segments of customers? Loyal customers will typically spend more, but do you have sale shoppers out there? And so when are you pushing the sale products higher up in those search terms? If I type in black t-shirt, but I only ever buy things on sale, the best thing you can do is push those up. But you don't want to do that for everyone, because your average order value is going to take a hit, and I'll probably get a cross email back saying, why didn't you tell me to do this? So all of that factors into your highest intent customers need that personalization in that section to make sure that they are converting, staying on the site, not jumping over to other competitors. But it also comes down to the products that you're suggesting at those stages. I think most people on this call are probably doing product recommendations in different ways. Some people are using kind of like the basic functionalities. What I personally watched frustrate my partner when she was bridesmaid shopping was how the product recommendations didn't update on certain sites to take into account her size, the color that she was looking for, because the theme needed to be dark blue and she was size 10. All of those product recommendations weren't updating, and it took 3 or 4 clicks where they weren't available in that size, or the product recommendations weren't suggesting the right product in the right theme, for her to bounce to another competitor. And I watched her go through 25 different sites because things weren't updating in real time. PDPs weren't showing the right things to her, and there was a lot of frustration that started to come from that. But this also gives you an opportunity to start showcasing other categories that you do through bundling things together. Could you get somebody to go from buying 1 item to 4 to complete the look type style? What is it that you're just cross-selling and you want to go into the next best products, alternatives to the one that they're looking at? And are they actually relevant to the specific customer? And all of that starts factoring into how you're guiding your customers into the next stage of the basket. Or how do you encourage them more and spend more with yourself? And then we come down to merchandising itself, on category pages. I start to try to discover things myself. The product recommendations for show shoes as well as dress. How does that then mirror in what color affinities do I have? What stage am I at in the buying cycle? I've seen somebody say that I'm more than happy to pull out at some point. But in this, we have this conversation a lot with America as well, also the UK. North versus South has very different weather. If I land on somewhere, summer promotion, experiencing rain, the whole website looking to me. For customers in Scotland, we start suggesting forecasting weather. Might be sun. You can then start pushing products higher up. A long sleeve, things like that, the way people are category pages. You can also start A/B testing this across all of your categories. What is the best way to start driving more revenue, more profitability, reduce your return rates? How do you then things to be able to match what a customer or what a segment of customer really is expecting category pages to drive higher revenue or whatever this goal might be internally.
Thanks, Liam. And just a quick note about how you could use your loyalty program, not just as part of your retention strategy, but also on the acquisition aspect of things, is to display how many points the customer can actually earn whenever they buy the product. So they're just incentivized to go to the next stage. So now we've discussed what happens before the different steps of the customer journey before they make a purchase. So now the question is, how do you turn it into lasting loyalty? But before we jump in, one quick note about that is similar to the display of the points on the product pages, is to actually, within the checkout directly, show the customers how many points they can earn before they actually make the purchase. And on another hand, you can also help them exchange directly their points within the checkout, as we can see on this little video. So they can't miss it whenever they buy something, they are always reminded that they can use their points, use their advantages.
We always start about things that are on site before the checkout. And what we started to explore a lot more last year was pre-checkout and post-checkout, particularly kind of Shopify gating for a while. How do we sort of, one, gain access, but two, how do we start thinking of clever strategies to start boosting the average order value? There's a belief, a lot of brands have this belief that once somebody's added to the basket, things are kind of done. Customers are checked out for buying, they're ready to complete the purchase. The quicker you can just whiz through that, the better for them. What we started to explore was actually there is still intent to buy. At that stage, when people go to the basket, there's less of an exploratory phase, and it then becomes a higher need for guidance through that kind of checkout stage of, is there anything else that you can purchase? For a lot of clients, we do quite a thought-provoking title of, are you still interested in these, and show recent reviewed. But post-purchase upsell is a massive channel that's gone way underutilized from the conversations that I've had with brands that can have such a big difference. Jenny Bird here were one of our first clients to adopt the post-purchase upsell. They had something in place before, but it wasn't really personalized. It didn't really have a strategy behind it. Then Nosto stepped in, and you can kind of see the results in there. The standalone kind of 13% increase in upsell orders is huge, particularly for a jewelry client with a higher average order value. But a 58% increase in average order value really did start to demonstrate that customers weren't quite finished buying, even when they were in the pre-checkout stage, and even once they checked out. There's still that excitement, and this is a good way of capitalism on that. You can see an 8.5% increase in net sales. I think for most brands in here is huge, and can make a massive difference from a channel that's completely simple. Of all the things that we do, is the simplest one.
And just a quick note about how you could advertise kind of your loyalty program. So whenever your customers is following their order tracking, you can also redirect them into their customer accounts. Within, you can include the loyalty program details, so you can find all of your rewards, all the referral link. You can find all the missions that you can complete, which tier you are on, and so on.
We've spoken about things that are actually on the site, and everyone here is hoping doing email campaigns. We always delve into the deeper of what is actually relevant and guiding people back to the website. In that, some people use discount codes, some people focus on customers actually reading the email. My personal email is over 8,000 unread emails, probably from a lot of brands in different languages that are attending webinars. But really, in this, it's focusing how do you use and leverage the behavior that they've shown on site into your on-channel campaigns like email marketing. And a big way to do that is adding personalized based on their behavior as they've started browsing or purchasing on the website, and guiding them to either the next best products or guiding them to products that will bring them back into the website. People don't always find the product that they want the first time they visit, or second or third or fourth in the higher average order value items, kind of customer sessions. So from there, it's about guiding customers into, okay, great, here's the different segments, here's the different product recommendation strategies that we can just insert into these, and we can make them dynamic as well. So as their behavior starts on site, they may click on something from the email campaigns that you're running. The widgets need to automatically update within those emails as well, so they have a good base to go back to what can they start browsing now, what can they go on to purchase now that they've done all these wonderful things. That has fixed the echo, so thank you so much. But Marc Jacobs is a huge client for us, and they guide customers back based on what they've previously purchased. If customers haven't come back to the site in a while, how do they start re-engaging them? There's a whole bunch of things in there that they start running with it within different segments of their email campaigns. We've also started to look into, once somebody clicks into email campaigns, how do you deliver the ultimate personalized experience? And Princess Polly really is an exemplary client for this. They have personalized landing pages, as you can see, with people's names on there, with edits that are specific to their interests, the way that they would expect the site to be tailored to them based on their behavior. Once they click on that email campaign, there's a segment created within Nosto, and we deliver this hyper-personalized experience, and it has huge results as a result of it. A lot of customers, it matches their expectation from such a big brand to be delivered that almost VIP feeling, and helps conversions massively. And again, it's that good cross-channel experience that makes massive differences of what our customers are expecting once they click on that campaign that got them back into this website in the first place. And I think this is the buzzword for everyone at the moment, is agentic commerce. I think everyone is saying this word, and to be honest with you, I think a lot of people are still sort of figuring out what this means. For us, we're focusing on how you can use things on the front end of the website and in your strategies, and guide you yourself using actual data that we're analyzing on what are the next best campaigns that you can do. But also, just platforms feel overwhelming. Studying a platform and figuring out what you can do with it always feels a lot. I can remember when I first started at Nosto a few years back, and even then it still feels like a lot. So we've introduced an AI agent into the back end of Nosto to help guide you and give you quick answers, so you're not having to go through mass email chains to figure things out, but also how you can deliver those hyper-personalized shopping experiences. Everyone is using ChatGPT and the likes, and the best thing that brands can do at the moment is leverage that expectation and deliver it on the site. We have on our website a webinar where we spoke with Ford about how they're using, for their accessories and parts, AI, and translating that into personalized campaigns when people are starting to interact with that to deliver those customer needs and expectations on their website. But yeah, I won't go through all these bullet points, but there's a whole bunch on the website. But that webinar gives massive insight into what's coming for Nosto and AI. It's also key to just mention that most people are using a lot of these kind of brands and platforms already, and so that simple integration. Nosto is not trying to take over different pieces of the website, but integrate with a lot of the tools that you're already using to make sure that we're all singing from the same song sheet, but also that we're optimizing every part of this and taking in all data sources at the same time.
All right, guys. Sorry, with this eco thingy, happy we got it sorted out now. So let's talk about what actually happens after the first purchase. So as a prerequisite, I will mention the fact that customers don't engage with what doesn't feel like you. So we see it all the time, like brands invest heavily in their websites, their packaging, their social content, everything is on brand. So the point here is very simple. Every touch point needs to feel native. So everything should feel like a seamless part of your brand, not bolted on top. And when it does, engagement comes with it. So now if we look at every step of kind of the anatomy of a loyalty program, we can first talk about what your customers are actually incentivized to do. Most loyalty programs actually only reward one thing, which is purchases. You buy, you get points, that's it. But it's kind of a missed opportunity because your customers interact with your brands in so many other ways, and all of those moments deserve to be rewarded. So we split at Loyally into two categories. The first categories of missions, as we call it, is permanent missions. So they are here all the time. Opt-in for email or WhatsApp, following you on social media, leaving a review on Google or Trustpilot, or even entering their birthday. So it's kind of evergreen, all year long, it's working. It's a foundation, and it helps you to build your database and your social proof on autopilot. Then you have the occasional missions. the things you activate only around key moments, such as the launch of a new product or Black Friday and so on. So it could be an Instagram post featuring your new product or TikTok UGC featuring a new collections, for example. So those create spikes in terms of engagement and turn your customers into brand ambassadors. So the idea is pretty simple, right? Every interaction is an opportunity to deepen the relationship, not just at the checkout. Okay, so we've talked about the missions to actually earn points. Now we are going to talk about what you can do to create a sense of exclusivity and allow customers to actually use those points. So you can create rewards to use the points, such as discounts, vouchers, etc. But additionally, you can create what we call VIP tiers. I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with it. It's basically bronze, silver, gold. It's simple, everyone gets it. And the point isn't complexity, it's most of a progression. So you want people to think, I'm almost at the next level. And what matters most is what you put behind each tier. So you can, for example, on the first tier, a birthday rewards, it can be progressive. So the biggest tier you are in, the biggest the birthday reward can be. You can have free loyalty points, points multiplier, or even free delivery that we know is a huge driver for customers to actually spend. You can have a support which is dedicated through Gorgias. So as a gold VIP chair, I can see all my tickets treated in priority. But for your best customers, the one who are already spending some money on your website consistently, they will be more attached to the feeling of being part of an exclusive kind of list. So you can think about private events, early access to your new collections, or even workshop with influencers or even the founders. So that are the kind of things that make people feel special. So it's not about discounts, it's more about status and belonging. So you can see here how Cook and Pan or M Skincare or even Natulim each designed their tiers differently, but the logic is the same. You make your best customers feel special, so they keep coming back. We talk about how you can turn your customers into brand ambassadors. And referral, it's the lowest CAC acquisition channel, and it's one of the most underutilized channel that we see among our clients before they start working with us. So the logic is pretty straightforward. Give X, give X, get Y. But the key is to make it really simple to share. So one click via link, email, WhatsApp, Messenger, without any friction. And a small detail that actually makes a big difference is that the referral code is automatically added to the cart. So I don't need to even copy the code. Whenever I'm ready to buy, the code is already present into my checkout. So on top of that, similarly to what we've seen with the missions, you can run campaigns to boost activations like double referrals during key moments. So some of our clients actually use it very well. For example, during BFCM period, you can double the referral incentive to make your customer acquisition cost feel a bit better. So the bottom line is your happiest customer are your best acquisition channel. You just need to make it effortless for them to share. So this one is more about timing. You want to build brand preference from day one, not 3 months when the customer has already forgotten about you. So at launch, the first thing you want to do is a targeted email campaign to your existing customer database that we can see, for example, with Volcom or Piglet in Bed. So welcome to the club, here is how it works, here is what you've already earned, etc., etc. So it needs to feel a bit exciting on brand, obviously, and something that they want to be part of it. But launching is only half of the job. A loyalty program isn't just a set and forget thing. So throughout its lifetime, you need to keep iterating, adjusting missions, refreshing rewards, aligning with new collections, seasonal moments, market trends, etc., etc. It really needs to be a living system. And that's where having strategic and operational guidance makes a real difference. one other key part of how you can re-engage consistently your customers is by being present wherever your customer is. So that's exactly what omnichannel means in practice. So the wallet card is a great example because it lives on your customer's phone, Apple Wallet or Google Wallet. It's fully branded, synced with your CRM. So it shows names, the points, the shares, and it's always here. It unlocks a channel that most brands don't use, push notifications. So you can have different types of push notifications. Whenever the customers are installing the card, you can have welcome messages, or even whenever they're reaching a new tier, you can have a push notification for that. But you can also, and to me, it's kind of the biggest selling point of this feature, you can have location-based push to drive foot traffic to your stores. So whenever I go at less than 200 meters of one of your physical stores, I can receive a notification to be invited to actually spend my rewards. And whenever your customers is showing their card, you don't need to ask them, okay, what's your email ID? Do you have an account? They just need to show the card. You scan it with your POS system, and you get all the context. So how many points the customers have, you can exchange the points on their behalf, etc., etc. And I will say cherry on the cake. We've seen that with the missions, with the chairs, with the wallet pushes, etc., etc. We are actually gathering a ton of data. So at Loyally, we really want to help you use this data to make your automations and make your loyalty program a little bit more intelligent. So this is where automation comes in. So you have a trigger, you have a filter, and you have an action. And one of my favorite example of the automation use case is, for example, like we all know that it's super hard and lots of brands are struggling to generate a second purchase, or at least we all want to accelerate the second purchase. So what you can do, very simple, you can give a 10% voucher after the first purchase, which is only valid within 14 days. So it will naturally increase the repeat rate. And another use case I really like is to offer a bonus reward after 3 referrals to keep the momentum going. So it's different from, okay, do this mission and earn so many points. The customers here are doing something, and then you are like contacting them saying you have an additional reward because you actually plan this behavior, and we are rewarding this specific behavior. So the whole point is ongoing engagement without operational overload. So the goal, as we can see, is really to have personalized journeys for every customer. So you have 1,000 customers, you want to have 1,000 types of journeys, because not everyone can get and wants to get the same experience. A low-key customers maybe can follow you on TikTok, but an ambassador can share like a reel and leave the review, and a VIP can get access to a VIP WhatsApp channel, for example. So you can adapt what you ask based on how engaged they already are. And we wanted to put together a concrete example. So here, as you can see on the chart, someone receives a referral code. Because of their segment, they are like identified on the website, and Nostro can personalize in real time the journeys. And after the first purchase, they can receive an email with through Klaviyo with their order tracking, how many points they earn, etc. They can complete small mission, earn rewards. They go in town and go through one of your in-store location and use this reward through Shopify POS, let's say. They do more mission, they reach a new VIP chair. Because they are VIP chair gold now, they can have priority access to the support through Gorgias, and they are so satisfied that themselves are able to refer another customers. So it's, as we can see, it's kind of a virtuous cycle.
Perfect. Thanks, Joseph. Cool. So what I wanted to jump into is now looking at specific metrics, and the 3 key takeaways that I want you to take, if nothing else, from the next 10 minutes is these three things right here. So in my opinion, no one cares about first response time anymore. All they care about is getting to a resolution as quickly as possible. I'm sure we've all been on a customer support phone line where you're saying, speak to a human, like trying to get through, because it isn't really cutting it for you. And I think everyone's had such a negative experience with certain AI, with certain companies, that there's definitely this blocker. But absolutely, all they care about is getting a resolution. And if the AI can help them to do that as quickly as possible, then we care. So I'll talk a little bit about resolution time. The second piece is around the fact that by the time that CSAT drops, we've already lost these forever fans that the whole webinar has been about. So brands need to be more proactive at addressing these response qualities, giving feedback from both the shoppers, but also the customer service teams behind the scenes. And the third piece is about leading CX teams. What they do is they actually drive revenue through support, right? So question for everyone, are you seeing support as a cost center or a revenue generator? So just keep that in mind. Perfect. So again, I don't want to slag off the first set of metrics, but I do think that they are super important. But as I just mentioned, they come a little bit too late in the journey, right? If someone's leaving a bad CSAT review, the damage is probably already done. They've had a bad experience on the website. They've had a bad experience with the customer support, whatever it may be. Same with NPS, obviously. And first response time, we can only look back on it and think, okay, yes, how can we improve this in the future? So if we look to where we can get some more concurrent metrics and actually seeing, in the moment feedback, we can actually ask our shoppers to give a thumbs up if they were happy with the response that they got in the moment, right? That's going to give you some real-time feedback. Behind the scenes, what Gorgeous does is has what we call an interaction quality score. So it takes a whole bunch of different details, including the shopper thumbs, including the feedback that CS teams are giving, and then creates a full picture of how well we think, in this case, the AI actually responded to a specific thing, which guidance it relied on for those responses, what actions it took, and why. And that leads into the third point about having full visibility, if you are using AI, into why is it doing specific things. And this is where we can really start to pivot, because you can see, well, because of X, Y, and Z, the AI responded in a certain way, but we don't actually like that as a brand. We want to change that, right? And that's where you can start to really iterate very, very quickly. Top brands, though, are looking at how high is the success rate, so AI being able to fully solve something, coverage, which tickets is it actually covering, and then where it's not, we're looking at guidance opportunities that could be recommended. So AI now within Gorgeous is actually recommending areas where, okay, I didn't have the information to respond to this, hence why I handed over to a human, and here are 15 different guidances that I can recommend right now that you could put in place. An interesting one that I always look at nowadays is first response time after AI handover, which is a bit of a mouthful, but I think it's really interesting because it talks to this new age of interaction being between the AI and humans, because not every ticket will be automated. It's also important that once it gets handed over and the AI says, hey, I'm going to collect XYZ information, but hand you over to one of my human team, that they're able to pick that up pretty quickly, particularly if it is in the web chat space. And then, as I mentioned in that third column on the previous slide, we're actually looking at AI influenced revenue and ultimately GMV growth, because influence is all well and good if we have like a 48-hour window, for example, but we want to see that the sales on the website are actually increasing through using these kind of tools. Cool. So the first one that I mentioned was changing our mindset from first response time to resolution time. And how we do this with AI in this era is actually having agentic AI, as was mentioned by Liam, that can actually go away and take action in not only Shopify, but third-party tools. So being able to go into Shopify, cancel an order or update a delivery address or add a new item to an order, come back to the customer and let them know that it's completely done without any human having to jump in at all. And of course, this does improve the first response time, but what we're actually looking at is the resolution time, okay? How many messages can it take and how long does it take for the AI or human, if they do need to jump in, to come back and get to the final resolution, which in this case, as you can see on the right, is just simply, can I cancel my order? Imagine having to wait 2 hours, 3 hours for a human to come in, pick this up, go into Shopify manually and change it. Not only is your brand losing time and efficiency on the internal teams, but it's not a great customer experience. Next slide, please. Thank you. The second one that I mentioned is about actually looking at CSAT as being a little bit too late in the journey. So CSAT is only responded to, first of all, about 10% of the time, which means we're actually not getting the full picture anyway. But that's why with Gorgeous, I mentioned the interaction quality scores. What we're looking at in the back end is actually empowering our CS agents to actually give feedback on every single detail and spend time in their weeks as a coach. The same way that you would onboard a new human entering your team, it's still important to give that same level of attention to your AI agent as if it was a staff member. You're going to save potentially on adding that extra salary, but you still need to train them up, right? And where that comes in is being able to go in here and look at every single ticket, accuracy, what guidance it drew from, as I was mentioning before, what actions it took, etc., and why it did those things, and give feedback on that. So we can iterate there. I think one thing that I like to say is CSAT is the symptom, but the AI's reasoning is the diagnosis, right? So we want to look at how did we get to that point. And then lastly, I talked about adding revenue and actually tracking revenue that AI is driving. So no longer are we genuinely looking at AI as a cost center. And I feel like this phrase is big time, a phrase that is thrown around so much. But what does it actually mean? And that's why I think influence revenue is amazing. And we obviously report on that. But where we're really seeing the top brands being able to show the value of AI and show that has been a good investment is GMV growth. Situations like what's on the right, for example, looking for a specific product, being able to qualify it, add it directly to your cart from within the web chat is amazing, and it boosts AOV, it boosts conversion rate. But ultimately, we want to see that turning into revenue numbers on the top line. So the best indicator of loyalty is, are your customers spending, right? Are your customers spending? Is revenue growing? And to close out that thought, one link that is quite interesting here with like Anosto, for example, is actually about like if they have specific personalized product recommendations that are tagged through the meta fields in Shopify, we can actually promote or exclude specific products from being pushed to customers, which is pretty cool. So again, just wanted to remind you of the 3 key takeaways. No one cares about first response time. We care about resolution time. The second is that CSAT dropping is a little bit too late. So let's look at more proactive metrics and be on top of it a little bit earlier. And the third time is, are you seeing it as a cost center or a revenue driver? Because leading CX teams are genuinely driving revenue, whether that be through their human teams, making recommendations and extending positive experiences to new repeat purchase opportunities, or through their AI as well.
So just before we finish, I think there is a question for Liam. Do you see value and good ROI when the tool is implemented on more one-off purchase / high-value items, flooring, furniture, tiles, etc., via FMCG types products?
No, I think the value is kind of the same, but I think it's more because the strategies and campaigns behind it are different. When it's high average order value items, there's much more focus on finding the right products because it's a much more considered purchase usually, particularly kind of with the cost of living crisis kind of announcement across the world. We saw that across, home and garden clients in particular, that people were taking a lot longer to convert. And so showcasing the right products at the right time was a really key strategy for those high average order value clients. And so their strategies were completely different. It was a lot more cross-selling focus and relevancy to the products that they've been looking at. For FMCG, there's always another thing to purchase. So it's either, if it's something that's replenishable, do you come back and show like replenishment recommendations? Tesco do it now. I don't know if you've seen, like if you do one grocery order, you can copy your whole order across. A lot of people go back to Tesco for that feature because, I mean, I have 2 kids. I do not have time to keep food shopping for 150 different things and cover every snack in the world. That simplicity thing. And then they'll also, again, it's a good sort of checkout experience, but there's 4 stages before you can sort of purchase, and it guides you to other things that you might want to look at. And that sort of experience, that level of experience is key for FMCG, because you may launch new products every 2 weeks. So people aren't always going to have seen those. So how do you keep what they've got and replenish almost, but also retain that customer? But then how do you also go to showcase, well, we've got all these other wonderful things, and you can spend another, 50, 60 pounds on these things on top of filling up what you already have. Why not try these new things out? And so it's just as key both sides. There isn't like a winning vertical. We have so many different strategies that we're running for different verticals that it's insane. But the best thing personally I can offer is I audit people's sites for them and just say, this is what your customer journey looks like. This is where personally I would get frustrated. And that should showcase the value to you of what does personalization actually mean for your brand.
Thanks, Liam. And I think we have one question for CEO. Lucy was asking if we saw the gorgeous shopping assistant on the slide.
Yeah, that's spot on. I probably could have been a little bit more explicit about it, but the reason that I didn't is that we actually see it as one agent, right? Like when you have a conversation with the web chat, for example, you might have support queries where you're asking to cancel an order or to make a return or asking about a returns policy. But in the same conversation, you might actually be an opportunity to have a cross sell. Okay, we see that you have this in your cart. You've got a black dress in your cart. Would you like to look at this black purse with it, for example, if we know that we're pushing those kind of options? So yeah, it is the shopping assistant, and it is the same chat, the same conversation, but a sales skill added on top of the AI skill set.
Thanks to you for the answer. And if you have any more questions, we are available through our emails or our LinkedIn, so don't hesitate to reach out. And sorry again for the echo, we will send you the webinar very soon. Thanks again to you. Thanks again, Liam, and thanks you all for your listening.